Welcome to the Curious Conversation Collaborative, a community for purpose-seeking entrepreneurs, leaders, and changemakers.
Listen to inspiring conversations with your hosts, inner leadership mentor Tessa and business wealth coach Karen Ravel.
Hello everyone who's listening or watching us today. And today we start with a new theme, and what we wanted to do is just for the next couple of weeks, months over the summertime really, to talk about aligned business or being aligned in your business. And we do that over several sessions, about 6 or 8 sessions, and with different topics. And today we wanted to start with the alignment of life work, so life work balance.
Yeah, and I think this is it's one of those topics where some people will say, "Oh, it's just you can't achieve it," and others, it's kind of like the holy grail of what people are always searching for. And it's been interesting in these times where a lot of people, the majority of people have been working or having to be at home, whether they're working or not. It's like opening up this option for a lot of people is being working from home being a work-life balance or not? What does work-life balance even mean for a lot of people? You know, I prefer the term work-life integration. I think
I like that,
because I think there's often this misconception that because we quit balance, we have to have an equal amount of work and life, yeah. And that's not the case. And like everyone's different, so the amount of hours you might want to work versus someone else, you know, it depends how passionate you are about your work. It depends, you know, how ambitious you are, all these sort of things. So I don't think it's necessarily about balance to start off with. I think it is about integration. And I think that's what opens up during these times. You know.
No, and I really like that, especially because this is, you know, I mean, we discussed a little bit how we would call this team, the overarching team for the sessions we'll have in the next couple of weeks. And we came up with this alignment or aligned or being aligned in business. Because I think, and to me, integration and aligned are kind of linked in that way, that and the difference, as you said, with balance, you kind of really see these two weighing scales, and it guys either go that way or that way, and it has to be exactly in the middle. Whereas with aligned, to me, is more like, yes, it's also kind of aligned as in balanced, but it's more in a way that can be more personal to you. I think what you just said around as well, like, you know, how passionate are you about your business? And that can sometimes also be from day to day, because, you know, I love what I do, like my work with clients in particular, but there's also days where I wake up and go, just, you know, not talk to anyone today, really. So I think it's that balance between where you're at the different days. But in particular also, I always forget who said it, but there's something like around, if you love what you do, you don't work a day of your life, right? So there's also how it feels. So there might be days or weeks or even months where you can be completely immersed in work, like I don't know how many hours of the day, but you feel still energized and it feels fine. Whereas other times, even after 2 hours of work, you kind of feel as if you have, you know, worked for the whole month in one day and you're done, really. And I think that's the one thing about work-life balance, the way that comes in as well, is that, like, you know, unless you're completely on your own, that most people, either you live as a partner or you have children, or there's even your family and friends. So that is that balance where, for instance, especially in those periods that you're loving what you do, how you to make sure to find some space that also the people around you still also feel they're getting some of your time and presence as well.
And I think that's really important, Tessa, because I think certainly in the world of self-employment, like yourself and myself, is that I don't know about you, but when I was in my corporate job, I worked all the hours under the sun, and so you are definitely neglecting a part of your life, and and longer term it can have impacts on your relationship, on your health, and that, because you're putting so much focus and attention in one area. So yes, you want to redress the balance there, but I think when you're working for yourself, because you're having to do so much in your business, and often one of the bigger desires to work for yourself is to have more balance in your life, or more time for other
Freedom,
areas. Yeah. So and it can be tricky, and like you say, if you've got children, it's about managing your time and energy so that you can maybe fit in your work around the school run or the school hours or something like that. Or like you say, if you've got elderly parents or something like that, you're doing a bit of care work or something like that, or you just want to make sure that you carve out some time for these specific relationships or your own health. I mean, a big one for me is, well, not right now because it's closed, but the gym. I'll go to the gym every day, whether that's yoga and Pilates or swimming or doing a gym workout or something. But it's a big concentration or putting attention on my health. Yeah. Whereas that was neglected when I was in corporate. So it is things like that. I think it's more about putting your awareness and attention on certain areas of your life and giving that more attention, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think especially, like as I said, I think the hardest times are often actually when you're enjoying what you're doing, right? That you go really into it. I notice for me, those are the times that I need to really differentiate between what feels right, and as in it's nice to do, in the sense of like, oh, I'm just busy and it feels nice right now, or it is that it feels right and this is the right thing to do right now. And I think there is times when it's fine, right? I mean, to kind of keep going a little bit, but I notice it always this way. Actually, it's interesting what you mentioned about gym. For me, it's like for instance, going outside for a walk or making sure to build that into my time. And I often say to people as well, when I work with people around this difference between, there is these things of that you kind of feel you should be doing, right? But they don't feel really what feels right to you. But then there's the shoots that are kind of self-imposed, but they're different because that when you're really sitting with yourself and knowing what's aligned to you, both in your business and in your work, in your life, so your life-work balance, if you like, or the integration. And that in those times where you get immersed, you forget them. So in that moment in time, they feel like a shoot, but they're part of your bigger picture. Like for instance, for me in the morning, if I really am, there's clients coming up, or there's some stuff that I'm doing for people, and I really like doing that. But then I forget about my walk, and because in that moment in time, it feels like a shoot. I don't feel like going for a walk because there's other things to do, right? But then it's important to say, oh yeah, in my bigger space of alignment, I know that this walk is important for my mental health, for not getting drained. So I always say there's a difference between the shoots where you do them where they're really not an integration, where they don't feel integrated, where it actually feels like something you're just putting in there because you think that's what you're supposed to do. But then there's the shoots that sometimes feels like should that actually help you to not completely dive into something that maybe in the moment feels fantastic and feels aligned and feels great, but really that in the long run or in the bigger picture actually kind of does create imbalance or lack of integration. So that's something very interesting, I think. And it took some, particularly as a self-employed, that took more learning because, you have to do this yourself more than there's no one telling you in that way what to do.
Yeah, and also Tessa, I mean, we mentioned before we came on live to this, is that this concept that we hear a lot about whether you've got a business or a hobby. And I think that plays into this a bit, because sometimes, and I'm one myself, is like we choose to only work a certain number of hours a week. And, you know, just because we do that doesn't mean to say that our business is a hobby. It is because we are choosing to have this more integrated lifestyle. So, you know, I think there's a lot out there, I find, that people kind of tend to put people down as if like, oh, you know, oh, are you taking your business seriously if you're not, you know, you're not putting all these hours into it? And whereas, you know, it could be that choice, like I say, especially if you've got like small children and you've decided to start working for yourself, to be flexible around them, or you could be older and you just don't want to work so hard anymore, or, you know, whatever. But whatever your reasons, you might have health reasons, whatever. It doesn't mean to say you can't have a business, but at the same time, you don't have to be putting in all these hours. And I get really peeved sometimes when I hear these comments like, you know, or you know, you're not taking, if you're not working all these hours, you're not taking your business seriously, and you've only got a hobby. Versus then you get the other extreme where you get people saying, oh, you know, if you build yourself a business, then you can be lying on the beach and working with the laptop on the beach and that. And it's like, oh, okay, so you've got two extremes here. It's like one's telling you you're not taking it seriously enough if you're not working all these hours, and then there's others saying like, oh, well, you know, you can just spend a couple of hours a day and it'll all work. And
I want to say one thing to that, actually, and that's like that if for you what you're doing, even if you earn some money with it, if for you it is an actual hobby and not a business, that's okay too, right? I think, but it's about that again. For me, this word alignment and integration that captures it perfectly. That this is around you knowing when you are really looking. It's like, you know, I've had times where I did treat my business like a hobby, that I wasn't taking it serious enough, and there were some things I had to change, right? But I had to do this in the time that was right for me, and really realizing that that was what's going on. And then there have been times where I had part-time business and I chose to have a employed job as well, because that worked for me. And at that time, I did need what I earned in my own business as well as an actual income. It was a proper business, but it was part-time, and that's what I wanted. It wasn't like, you know, I wasn't having the other job because I wasn't taking the plunge. It wasn't because, oh, it was just a side hustle. And no, it was a proper part-time business beside my part-time job, because I liked my job, and also I liked what it gave me to be employed. And I know we'll talk about this next week a little bit about being entrepreneur versus an employee. But again, from the work-life balance or the integration between, you know, how you look at your business, it's like, for me, I wasn't doing, this wasn't one of these shoots like, oh, I should be doing this or that. It was a choice. And I think, again, if even someone worked only one day or a half day, even a week, and that's all they do, but it was proper for them, it was a proper business, then it's a proper business. And someone else who works 40 hours a week or even 80 and makes, I don't know how much money, but they kind of go, oh yeah, no, this is just something I do kind of because I like it, and it's not really, I just, you know, then it's a hobby. And so it's not about how many hours you put in it, it's about, again, what is it to you? And either is fine. But being clear again on that alignment of like, how does this fit in your life? Where does your business fit in your life? And how is that balance or integration or whatever else it is for you?
Yeah, so I think to sum up, what we're saying is that you know, work-life balance, it's really it's a personal thing. It's what you choose to be right. And I think it's more about looking at different areas of your life and saying, how much time and energy do I want to focus on these? And, you know, and again, there's no right or wrong. And I mean, even I was going to ask you for some tips or something, but even that I don't feel from a practical point of view, because I don't really like this, you know, some people like to schedule fits into their diary and follow all of that. But for others, that doesn't work. So, you know, I'm not even going to go there.
No,
I just
I
think
think here
it's
actually,
just,
yeah, the biggest tip would be to actually call it, that's the integration. How are the different parts of your life integrated, including your own business or your work or whatever else it is that you're doing? And we call that life and work, doesn't matter. So call it for that for all I care, but how are they integrated? And spend some time to really sense for you, does that feel aligned?
yeah,
Or is there somewhere that there feels like an imbalance
yes,
that you need to work on the integration to come to alignment?
yeah. Wow, that sounds perfect. Cool, that's okay. I think we'll leave it there. And hope that people have got something from that. And yeah, and we'll look forward to catching up with everyone again next week.
Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? Do share your thoughts and questions in the comments or send us a message.
Do you know someone else who'd be interested in our curious conversations? Please share and spread the word. You can find out more about us at karenravel.com
and tessavancaken.com. Tune in next week for another curious conversation.